Firstly, congratulations on being a national finalist in the 2022 Telstra Business Awards for Tasmania in the Accelerating Business Women in Business category.
Awesome. Thank you. It's very exciting. We're still a bit shell shocked that we have come this far, but looking forward to nationals next month, actually, or
Oh, very
April.
exciting. Very exciting. I'm really pleased to have this opportunity to talk to you today about health because, as I mentioned when we spoke earlier, that it's the theme for April for my business. But of course, it really affects all business owners, all people, all the time. And
Mm.
sometimes we don't give it enough air. So, where did your journey in functional medicine first start?
Yeah. So it was back when I started having children. So prior to that, I was already, we'll talk a bit about burnout soon, but I was pretty much already burning the candle at both ends. I was doing a PhD, working at the same time. My husband and I were building a business as well. And then, doing a lot of exercise actually. So my body just didn't have time to repair. And then when I had my first baby, there were a lot of complications in that the pregnancy was great. It was the birth that wasn't fun. So a big long 3 day labor and 2 hours of pushing and all the interventions trying to get the baby out. And eventually I got sliced in half with the forceps and Poppy came
Mm.
flying out. But I had a lot of internal damage. But one thing in particular, my bladder just stopped working. So I had no sensation to pee. It was the weirdest thing. I could drink liters and liters of water and not feel like I needed to go to the toilet. But anyway, to get my bladder functioning again, the medical specialist decided to put a catheter inside my wee hole. And I basically used a catheter for about 4 months after Poppy was born. And during that time, I was on a lot of antibiotics to prevent from UTIs, but I ended up getting lots of different infections in and out of hospital. And my body was just pretty much slaughtered with antibiotics, which on top of the stress of kind of like doing a lot prior to having kids and then my gut health totally getting ripped apart. It then led to a lot of health issues that happened. Like it wasn't all of a sudden like, oh, was super, super sick. It was almost like every month something new, like a new symptom would pop up. It was first low immunity, catching all the colds and flus, then really bad back pain, heartburn, gut issues, and then eventually it was like full blown anxiety. So yeah,
Mm.
that was not fun. And I think it was when Poppy turned 1, so all that was going on for about a year. And I just got to a point where I'm like, if I don't do something, I don't know where I'm going to be at, probably going to develop some nasty disease or condition, or I'll end up getting a divorce with my husband and throw away my child because I just was not coping. I was really, really struggling. And so then that's where I decided to take charge over my own health. Initially, it was just changing the way that we were eating. So, going from a very processed, I thought it was healthy, but looking back, I'm like, that was not healthy. It was very processed, to making food from scratch, fermenting foods, sprouting foods, and starting to heal my body with nutrition. And then later on, that got me to a certain, I guess, like healing point, but there were still issues going on. And so then I went into functional medicine, which I'll talk a bit about later.
Right. So, wow, what a journey. And, having a baby is a big enough thing by itself, let alone all the other issues that you had on top of that. So, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
surprised that it was a rocky road.
Yeah.
So, good on you for taking it into your own hands. So, you mentioned body burnout
Mm-hmm.
in that before. For people who aren't familiar with that term, what does it actually mean?
Yeah, so I think most people know what burnout means. It's a term that gets thrown around, especially in business and in the workforce. So it's kind of like you're doing so much, you're working so hard, you're burning the candle at both ends, and your body kind of, or you feel quite exhausted, anxious, overwhelmed. And they're sort of like what people think about with burnout. We coined it body burnout because we wanted to emphasize that when you get burnt out and you start developing energy issues and mood issues and other issues, it's actually like it's not just about the mental load. Literally and physically, your body systems have actually burnt out, and then that's what is actually causing your burnout symptoms in the first place. So the body systems that get burned out are often your adrenal glands, which support or secrete your stress hormones. For women and men, actually, your sex hormones can burn out, your gut can burn out, and your detox pathways can also burn out, and all of these things can lead to not just like energy, mood, and gut issues, but it can even, like, if not corrected, lead to nasty things like cancer down the track, heart disease, diabetes.
Mm, mm, mm. So you mentioned also about functional medicine. So that's a term many people may not be familiar with. So how is it different to traditional medicine? I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's the function of the body and how the body operates, but tell me a bit more about it.
Yeah. So we're talking about, I guess, traditional medicine or modern medicine.
Yeah, traditional or functional, or
Yeah.
is functional medicine traditional medicine, or is it more alternative? What are we talking about with
Yeah.
functional medicine?
Yeah, cool. So functional medicine, it lives in the natural therapies. So it's different, however, to something like naturopathy or nutritional medicine, which uses like natural medicines, diet, that sort of stuff to heal the body. So functional medicine kind of like incorporates that, but we're also using evidence-based lab testing. And the types of tests that we do in functional medicine go beyond, say, what your GP or your medical specialists will look at, because we're looking at functional imbalances, not trying to diagnose disease and nasty conditions, but looking at what body systems have actually broken down, which have now led to the symptoms that you're experiencing. I think that's like, I've tried very hard to kind of like simplify what functional medicine is. So does that make sense?
Yes, I think so. And you were telling me the other day that you treat people by a whole range and a whole gamut of tests that are scientific based,
Yeah. So
based on scientific evidence.
yeah. So looking, like, we do a lot of saliva, poo tests, wee tests. Can even look at things like the neurotransmitters, which is amazing. Like, you can see where your dopamine levels are at and your serotonin levels, which are really important for a business owner or someone in leadership. Yeah, so using those types of tests. And also functional medicine is about taking that holistic approach. So rather than, it's great to get those lab tests and it's like, okay, you have a nasty overgrowth in your gut, whether that's candida or parasites, and treat that, but also treating the root cause. And the root cause often comes back to the way that you think and feel and the way that you behave and the habits that you've created in your environment and your relationships. So we kind of address all of that because we want to end body burnout for good. It's not like we're not just happy for someone to feel better for a few months or even for a few years. We want to, like, not just fix the imbalances inside the body, but fix those things that are actually causing the body systems to burn out in the first place. And that's where the magic happens.
So, as you know, the dinner that we're having in April is particularly for business owners to address their own health and how they need to protect themselves. How does body burnout and how does body burnout show itself up in the workplace? So, the title of this podcast is when you work too much makes you sick. So
Yeah.
how might that show itself, and what implication can that have for a business owner?
Yeah, so many ways. So first of all, I would think about the symptoms. So you've got energy issues, you're feeling more stressed and overwhelmed and anxiety, maybe it's even depression. Then you can also have inflammatory issues. So whether that's headaches, brain fog, gut issues, PMS issues. So all of those things are absolutely going to affect your performance. And if you're a busy business owner, entrepreneur, high achiever, you know that like performance is your biggest asset. So some really common things is your productivity drops, because if you can't get up out of bed in the morning, or if you need to have a nap during the day, or if your energy levels are just fluctuating and you just can't do what you used to do, then that's going to affect your productivity. You're not going to get as much done. Maybe that's why you're sick in the first place, and that's like a whole other conversation. But it would definitely affect your productivity. Some other things too is like creativity. So I found for me too, when I was experiencing like at my lowest, I was very creative, highly driven person, and I lost that, and I lost joy in my life, and I'm like, I don't even know how to create anymore. And so that was kind of scary. Because I feel like a lot of business owners are like, we're creative, we're creating new products, or we're creating new ways of sharing our message, or we're creating new experiences for clients or customers. So it's super important, and it's something that can disappear if you're feeling burnt out. Also, with the anxiousness that some people start feeling when they're getting burnt out because they just can't process things very well, that can then affect your self-confidence. It might make doing business really scary. Like, you might not want to take those risks that entrepreneurs often have to take. You might stay doing the safe things, or maybe you might even stop working on your business rather than stop working on your business, because it's just easier doing the things inside your business to keep the business running. That's kind of all you have the energy output to do. There's lots of other ways. Do you want me to continue? Or?
Oh, wow. I think that there is, it's such an important message that you're sharing. And I think, business owners sometimes think that maybe they're the only ones that are feeling tired and exhausted and not knowing what to do. But it is a common problem. So,
yeah. And it's also, just a little add to that, like, it's common and considered normal, but it's actually not normal. Like, it's a sign that you need to get your health sorted.
mm, mm. And you mentioned the long-term ramifications are not great. So it is in your control to do something about your health. And I suppose that's where the be brave comes in, is to put yourself first and to make sure you're looking after yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And can I just add to, like, bringing in sort of I guess, why we won Accelerating Women for the Telstra Best of Business Awards is that working moms, like, there's the whole gender inequality stuff that's going on too, that's so subtle, but it's putting women like back in the workforce, and also causing more burnout for women. Like, I see that way more than men. Men are still getting burnt out, but women, because we're still trying to, say we collectively, but many women, and there's studies to show too, that a lot of women, even if they have a partner who's working full time, and the mum is as well, the mum is still doing the majority of the housework and the caring for the children. And no wonder she feels crappy. And then you add in the physical stress of growing a baby, breastfeeding, labor, even if it's 10 or 20 years after your childbirthing years, sometimes your body just doesn't recover from that. And so I just feel like women are juggling so much more. And there are some gender like bias issues still going on there that need to change too.
So it's such an important message. What's your long-term vision?
So I feel like so we work with adults. I mean, we work with children and families as well, but our main focus is the adults, high achieving parents. Because I guess our bigger vision is that if you get yourself sorted, and if you have all the tools that you need to be healthy and stay healthy, then you're going to pass those on to your children. So, like, we see a world where healthy, happy parents are leading healthy, happy children, and that's going to have like generational impact, which is really exciting. And burnout is so prevalent, like, in our society today, especially with the pandemic. Even before the pandemic, it was just like almost like a badge of honor that I'm working so hard and I feel so crappy. But it doesn't have to be that way if we can support our health.
And are you covering that in your book?
Oh, yes, I'm writing a book. I've 45,000 words in. Currently, the working title is Spark Mama, How to End Body Burnout. It may change. Yes, it will come into a chapter for sure.
I'm looking forward to it, and that's one of the reasons we've connected too, is on this book writing journey. So you've got several resources, I know, on your website that people can refer to help them with their health. Could you share a little bit about those resources so that people can either use them themselves or can pass on the information to someone within their network that would benefit?
Yeah, awesome. So we've got the what's called the Ending Body Burnout Scorecard. So that's a series of questions. It usually takes people about 7 to 10 minutes to complete the quiz, but it breaks it down into 4 different categories. So the extent of your body burnout symptoms, some of the things we were talking about today, but then also looking at habits that affect your body, your mind, and also your environment, which are often the root causes as to why someone's body gets burnt out in the first place. So that's a free quiz, and you get a really cool report and an analysis and a rate based on 100 being perfect. You're in great health and you're looking after yourself, to I don't know, maybe the lowest one so far is like 32 or something %, which is not good. And then we've also got it's a free 10-part mini course on hormonal and gut burnout. And over those 10 video series, we talk a lot more about some of these different body systems that burn out, which then cause your burnout symptoms, and how we test for them and how you can recorrect them. So they're 2 cool little resources that you can use to investigate.
So you're now in the hot seat, because at an event that I run, we have conversations that often ask a question that you may not have thought about recently, or that needs to be pondered or shared. And your question is, the next thing I want to focus on for my own health is...
Actually, I thought about that last night. So we hold group coaching calls too on Tuesday nights for some of our clients. And Chris, he's my husband, and so he's our sort of mindset life coach and our kick up the bum or hold hand or cheerleader. Anyway, I can't remember what question. He said, "What's your intention for this week?" And in my head, everyone popped their answers in, but in my head, I'm like, I want to be more present. Because I do find, like, I am a recovering addicted doer. That tendency is still very strong inside me. So every day, like every morning, I have to make that conscious decision that this is when I work and this is what I'm going to do. And when the kids come home, this is when I'm going to spend time, like, being present with them. I think present is more about being present with my children and my husband, and not just talking about work all the time. So that is... Luckily, I had thought about that last night, because I always get scared about mystery questions.
Yeah, well, it's something. You're talking about being present and talking about looking after yourself is such an important thing. And they often say that, someone who is a painter, their house needs painting, or,
Yes.
we do tend to be a good practitioner and not always look after ourselves so well. So I thought, when I went through the pack of cards, I thought, there's several I could ask, but this one might have an interesting response. Actually, an added bonus, but I would like you to give me 3 tips that I should start doing today.
Today, to support your health?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you specifically, Kerryn, or people like you?
Business
roles?
owners. We'll call them business owners.
Okay. So I would say, number 1, sleep is medicine. So go to bed on time. We all know that, but not many people do. So turn off the computer, make a decision when you're going to stop finishing work, when you're going to have your dinner, when you're going to have family time, and what time you're actually going to be in bed, and close your eyes. Number 2 would be... Oh, look, I mean, food is medicine also. I'm a massive, like, our body systems function on the nutrients that we're putting inside our body. So if you're putting in crap into your body's going to be crappy. If you're putting in good stuff into your body's going to be great. So some key things like ditching heavily processed, sugary, refined foods, trans fatty foods, and just going back to basics like eating your fruits and your vegetables and your legumes. If you eat meat or eggs, animal products, like eating whole foods would be the second one. And the third one, a tip, something that you can change right now. Breathe. Especially if you are living a very fast-paced life, whether that's doing some breath work in the morning when you're waking up. Although I find a lot of people who have a really busy life benefit more like in the middle of the day when they can just kind of reset, maybe have their lunch, sit out in the sun and do some deep breathing for 5 minutes. It really helps to ground you, reset you, and like it literally has anti-inflammatory healing properties to your body. So it's all about that. You can still do and be and high achieve, but you need that rest and recovery and supportive work as well so that you can continue doing everything that you want to do. Yeah.
So to close off, where can people find your resources? I will put it in the show notes, but if you'd just like to tell them.
Yeah,
as well.
awesome. So probably the easiest place to go is our website. So that's www.chrisandphilly.fm. Just check the show notes for how to spell that. But yeah, when you jump on there, you'll see straight away the Ending Body Burnout scorecard that I mentioned. And also at the bottom of the website are our free resources. So you can find that mini course there as well.
So have you got a closing quote for us today?
I'm going to go with, this is actually something that my husband again says he's a wise man. Maybe erase that part in case he listens to this because I don't want him to know that I think he's wise. No,
I'm not going to cut that out.
So he always says to clients and also me, what you allow, you encourage. So that can be applied to everything, like specifically what we were talking about today. You probably know if you're feeling burnt out, you probably know at least what one of the root causes are. And are you allowing that to happen? Maybe it's like drinking way too much coffee throughout the day and sugar. That's a root cause. If you're allowing that, you're encouraging body burnout. Similar, the same with what I said about being present. If I'm running around like a rooster without my head on, I'm encouraging that. So what you allow, you encourage.
I look forward to reading your book, and I'm very excited to see how you go forward with the awards, and congratulations on getting this far. And I know that you live and breathe what you do, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. So thank you very much for your time, Philly.
Thank you so much, and I'm excited to read your book too.